A grey autumn afternoon. At the end of a narrow London alley sits a cosy cafe named the Winter Rose. Its exterior walls are draped in creeping vines, and through its glass windows a mystical mist is always visible. The owner of this cafe is Mr. Oliver, a kind old man with spectacles and a perpetually mysterious smile playing on his lips. Entering this cafe feels like time has stood still. The scent of coffee mingles with the aroma of old books and pine wood. But this is no ordinary cafe. They serve a special brew, aroma of regret. If someone orders this coffee, they gain the chance to return to a moment in their life burdened with deep guilt. However, Mr. Oliver has one strict rule. You must return before the coffee gets cold. One day, the bell of the Winter Rose chimed. A young woman named Evelin stepped inside. Water dripped from her soaked coat onto the floor, but she didn't seem to notice. Her disheveled hair and the bloodshot corners of her eyes suggested she hadn't slept for nights. Her eyes were as still as a deep ocean. She spoke little, moving through the city crowds like a walking shadow. Her life was like a torn page from a diary that no one had ever bothered to read. Her entire existence was one massive regret. From behind the counter, Mr. Oliver slowly wiped his glasses. He knew Evelin would come. This cafe is the final destination for those who lose their way in the labyrinth of life. "Welcome," he said. "I have been waiting for you." Evelin whispered, "People say you can bring back time." Mr. Oliver replied in a calm voice, "I am no magician, Evelin. I only serve a cup of coffee that acts as a key to the darkest chambers of the human heart. If you wish, you can return to your past on that rain-soaked night." Evelin laughed harshly, a sound devoid of joy. "Impossible. The dead do not return, and time doesn't spin backward like a wheel. These are just stories, Mr. Oliver." Mr. Oliver pulled a small antique clock from a drawer. Its hands were frozen. Looking into Evelin's eyes, he said, "Whether you believe it or not is up to you, but your regret is killing you bit by bit every day. I am giving you a chance." As Evelin turned to leave, Mr. Oliver called out, "Wait, I am giving you 3 days to find your faith. Today is the full moon. This portal will remain open for the next 3 days. Whenever you drink this special coffee, you will go to that past. But remember, you must return to this cafe 1 second before those 3 days pass." Evelin paused, trembling for a moment. Mr. Oliver pushed the steaming cup toward her. Evelin took it with shaking hands. She still couldn't believe it, but her heart was pounding. She took her first sip. Suddenly, the walls of the cafe began to vibrate. The light from the street lamp outside died out, and a brilliant white light consumed her. She felt she was no longer in the cafe. Beneath her feet were not the modern streets of London, but the wet cement of a station from 10 years ago. Back in the cafe, Mr. Oliver sighed and muttered, "Your time has begun, Evelin. Let's see, after 3 days, do you wish to live with the pain of the present or lose yourself in the illusion of the past?" Evelin had no people or place to call her own. She stood for a while at the station like a ghost, then began to walk subconsciously. She arrived in front of the house where she grew up. Her childhood had essentially been non-existent. At an age when children pester their parents with demands and whims, she had learned how to blend silently into the walls. Her parents had separated before she finished school. They hadn't just left each other, they had discarded her as a piece of their past. Both started new families, occupied with new children. She remained a page of an old diary that no one started to open. She grew up in a dilapidated room held by the hand of her elderly grandmother, Dida. Their tiny shelter was far from the city, where the scent of rusting railway lines mingled with the wild smell of thickets. The walk from the station to their home was a journey of loneliness. In the evenings, returning from the station, she would watch the sun dip behind the fields, the croaking of frogs in the roadside ditches, and the concert of crickets would begin. Midway, there was a rickety bamboo bridge that creaked underfoot, making her heart race. But seeing the dim light of Dida's hurricane lamp from afar made all her fears vanish. On rainy days, when water leaked through the holes, Dida would place plates or bowls under it. The pitter-patter sound created a strange rhythm. On bone-chilling winter nights, they had no expensive blankets. Dida had sewn several of her old clothes together to make a quilt, a kanta. At bedtime, Dida would pull her close to her chest and wrap her in that quilt. Outside, the wind howled, but she slept peacefully, enveloped in Dida's familiar earthy scent. Often food was scarce. Dida would scoop half the rice from her own plate onto Evelin's, saying, "I don't know why my stomach feels full today. You eat this, otherwise it will go to waste." The girl didn't understand then, but as an adult, she realized it wasn't an excuse. It was Dida's silent sacrifice of fasting to keep her fed. Every day before school, Dida would carefully oil and braid her hair into 2 plaits. Although Dida's fingers were gnarled with arthritis, her hands moved with perfect tenderness while combing her granddaughter's hair. Dida would tell her stories of a princess exiled to the forest, a princess who was alone but never gave up. Through these stories, Dida was teaching her how to fight alone. While Dida ran her fingers through her hair, Evelin would dream of the days ahead. Clutching Dida's rough hand in her tiny ones, she would say, "Dida, you know, when I grow up and earn lots of money, I won't let you live in this leaky house anymore. We'll buy a house like those big buildings in the city. No rain will fall there." Dida would burst into laughter and say, "Will I even be around by then, granddaughter?" "You have to be," she would insist stubbornly. "I'll buy you a red-bordered silk sari. Hasnahana flowers will bloom in our garden every morning. You won't have to work in other people's houses anymore. You'll just sit like a queen." Dida would only sigh and say, "I don't need new clothes, you silly girl. Just stand on your own feet. That's all the peace I need." Just as she entered high school and began to recognize the world around her, darkness fell. It was the day her final exam results were released. She ran home with great joy to tell Dida she had come first in her class. But as she stepped into the courtyard, she met an unusual silence. Dida was leaning back in that old wooden chair on the porch, her glasses hanging on the tip of her nose and her old sewn quilt lying on her lap. The girl thought Dida was sleeping. She went and took Dida's hand, but it was as cold as ice. There was no goodbye, no final word. Dida had passed away silently. The school medal remained in her hand. She realized that from today there was no one to serve her rice, no body to cling to when afraid on a rainy night. Her parents had already become strangers. With Dida's death, she was truly alone in this massive world. The present-day Evelin watched as in the pale evening light a teenage girl sat in the corner of the courtyard. With torn clothes, disheveled hair, and salt water streaming from her eyes, that teenager was none other than herself. She could see that little girl sobbing, clutching Dida's empty wooden cot. In her hand was a piece of paper, perhaps that result card she never got to show Dida. After Dida left, her world didn't just become lonely, it suddenly turned cruel. After the funeral, as relatives slipped away one by one, the young girl realized she would have to fight for every meal herself. While other girls went to coaching or hung out in the afternoons after school, she ran in search of work. In the fog-drenched dawns, she would deliver newspapers on her bicycle just to afford her school fees. She tutored children in lower grades. Often, instead of teaching, she was made to wash dishes or mop floors, but she endured everything silently for the sake of money. At night, she studied alone in that leaky-roofed room. When there was no money for lamp oil, she spent many nights sitting under the street lamps. Her stomach would cramp with hunger, but she kept only one goal in sight: freedom. Education was the only key to escape this poverty and loneliness. School was another battlefield for her. To her classmates, she was a weird character. Her torn school uniform, patched shoes, and sunken eyes were the subject of their mockery. Girls from wealthy families called her the maidservant. During tiffin breaks, when everyone ate expensive food, she would quench her hunger with water from the bathroom tap. Seeing this, they would mock her, saying, "Your parents threw you away, that's why you're in this state." One day, a classmate's expensive makeup box went missing, and everyone began searching her bag without proof. When Dida's old comb and the result card emerged from that multi-patched bag, the whole class erupted in laughter. Those laughs pierced her chest like arrows. The school library was her only place of peace. She sat there alone because no one wanted to sit beside her. When teachers assigned group work, she was always left alone, as if joining her would diminish their nobility. One rainy day, while returning from school, a classmate kicked her bicycle down. As she lay on the road covered in mud, the sound of that mocking laughter rang in her ears. She didn't cry that day. She stood up, still covered in mud. She realized that there is no such thing as mercy in this world. Today, the present-day Evelin stands before that secluded banyan tree, where the forest thickens and meets the railway tracks. The massive tree with its hanging roots is exactly as it was, but the memories trapped beneath it now grip her chest like poisonous roots. This place was once her favorite because the rustling of fallen leaves echoed Dida's stories, but her skin still crawls with hatred when she remembers the person who turned that sacred solitude into a hell. His name was Isaac. She wanted to forget him. She wanted to rip his memories out of her brain and throw them away. But some wounds are so deep that instead of healing, they only grow more raw and burning with the passage of time. Isaac was a boy from her school, but he wasn't like the others. Despite being born into one of the town's most prominent and wealthy families, he didn't carry even a shred of arrogance. He was quiet, composed, and deeply artistic. The old library tucked away behind the school building had become a secret sanctuary for both of them. One day, while she was sitting in a dusty corner of the library, completely absorbed in an old history book, a sketchbook suddenly slipped and fell right near her feet. She looked up to find Isaac standing there. With a warm smile, Isaac said, "Sorry, it slipped from my hand." Evelin silently picked up the sketchbook to return it, but as she did, her eyes fell on a drawing of a girl. It was a sketch of a girl staring out of a train window, her eyes carrying a profound melancholy. Evelin gasped. The girl in the drawing was her. As she held the sketchbook, her heart skipped a heavy beat. In that drawing, she wasn't just looking at her physical self, she was looking at the deep hidden loneliness of her inner existence. Aside, handing the sketchbook back to Isaac, she asked in a choked voice, "Why did you draw me like this?" In a very calm, gentle voice, he replied, "I didn't draw you. I wanted to capture your loneliness. Every day I see you resting your head against the train window, looking out into the distance. It feels like though you are physically present in this world, your soul is searching for a peaceful land somewhere far away." Evelin stared at him in utter disbelief. No one had ever looked at her or understood her with such depth before. From that moment on, their world began to shift. Slowly, a beautiful bond of friendship, rooted in art and understanding, began to flourish between them. The air felt toxic the day the wealthy girls from school cornered her in the corridor. One of them snatched her old notebook, callously ripping out the pages and tossing them into the air like confetti. "Why does an orphan even dream to study?" the girl mocked cruelly. As tears welled in Evelin's eyes, a heavy, deliberate footstep shattered the oppressive silence of the corridor. It was Isaac. The usually calm and gentle Isaac now carried the fierce intensity in his eyes. Without shouting, he walked straight over and firmly took the remaining pieces of the notebook from the bully's hands. His sharp, piercing gaze made the entire group freeze in their tracks. Isaac spoke. "Your expensive clothes might give you status, but your minds are filthier than a dumpster. If you ever let your shadow fall near her again, remember this. Isaac Chowdhury only knows how to paint pictures, but he also knows how to erase them." That was the first time the school witnessed this fierce side of Isaac, and for Evelin, she felt as though a massive banyan tree had suddenly extended its protective shadow over her head. After school that day, Isaac took her on his bicycle. Isaac pulled out watercolors from his bag and began to paint the breathtaking view. As Evelin sat down beside him, Isaac handed her a brush and said, "Today you touch the canvas with color." Together, they painted a fictional sky where no darkness could ever exist. Whenever Evelin returned home late at night, exhausted, she would find a packet of expensive food placed secretly in her bicycle basket, accompanied by a small note. "The moonlight is beautiful tonight. Eat something and look up at the sky." Many times he would secretly go to her part-time workplace and just sit there quietly from a distance, ensuring that no one would bother or harass her. On rainy afternoons, when the storm drummed loudly outside, they would sit surrounded by the comforting smell of old library books, reading poetry together. Isaac would use his sketchbook to draw her rare, happy smiles. One afternoon, Isaac turned to her and said, "You know, all this luxury, this big family name, it all feels so fake and meaningless when I sit next to you." One day, while walking through a field of white kaash flowers near the railway tracks, Evelin's foot slipped. Isaac moved like lightning, gripping her hand tightly to catch her. Isaac did not let go of her hand. Leaning in, he whispered, "I know your path ahead is incredibly difficult, but will you give me permission to walk beside you as your shadow?" After that fateful afternoon, their world became enveloped in a beautiful, enchanting spell. The field of white kaash flowers by the railway tracks stood as a silent witness to a love that ran incredibly deep. Soon, words became entirely unnecessary. Even amidst a chaotic crowd at school, a single glance from Isaac was enough to wash away Evelyn's exhaustion for the entire day. They realized they had become intertwined in each other's lives, much like a vine wrapping itself securely around a mighty tree. When night fell and Evelyn studied in her lonely room, she could feel Isaac's presence right beside her. On the other side of town, inside the crushing silence of his massive mansion, Isaac was painting her pale, beautifully smiling face. In the pages of his diary, Isaac had written, "You are that poem of mine which I never want to recite to the world. I only want to nurture you deep inside my chest. Without you, my colors and brushes are entirely meaningless." From the school corridors to that solitary spot beneath the old banyan tree, everything seemed to scream that they were now inseparable parts of a single soul. They had fallen into an addiction so fierce that the mere thought of separation felt like the agony of death itself.